Hello, good morning, and welcome to forexforsteadyprofit.com. I use the Commitment of Traders report, which comes out every week on a Friday, and I need to give me an idea of market direction. I analyze the ratios of longs to shorts for the commercials and non-commercials, and I also look at the divergence on the pairs, and it gives me an idea of market direction. We'll just go and have a quick look at the charts. So here we have the Commitment of Traders information in its raw form. You get the non-commercial positions and the commercial positions, long and short, and then you get the change in open interest. And you also get that broken down underneath for longs and shorts for both the commercials and the non-commercials. And we can see this broken down into a graph over a period of time, which also gives us comparatives, which are also very useful to look back on the history. And so we'll go and do that right now. And here we have a graph of the positions over 52 weeks, that's a year, for the commitment of traders of the commercials and non-commercials. And this is for the Australian dollar. This chart is produced by cotbase.com. And you can see here where we got to a low position with the commercials, and we're completely opposite to the speculators, and they've got a long position, so we're short. You can see we had a big drop off in the price of the Australian dollar. Conversely, when we were at a high and very bullish for the commercials, and we were fairly bearish for the non-commercials, that we actually had a hike in the rise of the price of the Australian dollar. This is a very useful tool to be using, and we can show you other ways that we use it and other things that we do with it. So here we have the Australian dollar, US dollar, and we've got the RSI. Now if we put a trend line on the RSI and we wait for it to go above the 69.1 and come back down and cut through it, this gives us a sell signal. Now this obviously would have been a very good sell signal here. We had a sell signal here indicating this big long fall that we've had, and quite recently we've had a rise in the price of the Australian dollar, which is just going through the 50 here, and I'm expecting it to turn back down and cut through the trend line, which will give us another sell signal because we have an extreme position of short the commercials and long the non-commercials on the Commitment of Traders report, and this should be quite a long sustained downward trend, which is always very profitable. Last bit of information, this is Ludwig's divergence calculator, and it works really well, and this helps us with the crosses. These are the currencies against the US dollar, and here we have the crosses calculated, and it gives us a divergence value between the commercials and the non-commercials, and it shows some of the pairs that are of more interest than others. A very useful tool, only available on the Members Centre, and the pairs that are of most interest we do feature on the video on the Members Centre every day, so you get a daily video on those. And welcome. It's the 15th of October, and we're going to do the Commitment of Traders report, and we'll start as ever with the Australian dollar. We've seen a little bit of a pullback over the last week or so, 6 or 7 trading days, and I think this is going to fail, and I see the Commitment of Traders are very bearish of this pair. It's an extreme bearish position. So if we go over to the chart, we have a commercial short ratio of 7.42 to 1, which is a pretty good extreme. We've seen a large candle on Friday move up. Might expect a little bit more upside from this before it starts coming back down. We're just above the 50 on the RSI, but I expect the downward trend to continue with this, and we've got some very high resistance just above. So I don't see much more upside and quite a lot of downside over the period. British pound, again, we've had a little bit of a pullback over the last few days, and we do see that the commitment of traders have actually gone not so bearish as they were. We're expecting this to continue down. It's had a little bit of a pullback, expecting that to fade and for it to continue back down. So if we go over to the chart, yeah, here we go. Yeah, we've got our trend line on the RSI, and we're waiting for this to come back and cut back down through to give us a sell signal. We have a commercial short ratio of 1.32 to 1. Next one we've got up Canada. Here we go. We have got an extreme bearish position for the commitment of traders, the commercials, and we've got an extreme bullish position for the speculators. We've seen it's come off the highs. We've had a little bit of a pullback, and I've said this about everything last week. These all gone against me, but everything seems to have had a little bit of a pullback, and I'm waiting for it to continue back down. That's short, that's long for the pair, short for the Canadian dollar. So we've seen, yeah, over the week it's had a little bit of a pullback. We're just above the 50 on the RSI, and we've got a commercial short ratio of 3.95 to 1, which has increased, which is nice. There we go. And the euro. So the speculators are at a bearish, sorry, the commercials are at a bearish extreme for this pair, and the speculators are at a bullish extreme. We've seen the euro come up a little bit over the last week or so. I believe it's going to go back down. If we have a look at the chart, euro USD, we can see it came back down Thursday, Friday last week. I'm coming back down. I got knocked out of a few trades, a little bit annoyed about it. We have a commercial short ratio of 1.74 to 1, and we're just on top of the 50 on the RSI. I'm waiting for that to break back down. Whoops, daisies. Yep, there we go. Thank you. Right, again, the Japanese yen. We have got an extreme, well, it's not extreme, but we've got a very high bullish position taken by the commitment of traders. We've had a big increase from last week, and we can see the yen has actually gone up in price, and we've actually increased our bullishness for the commitment of traders. So we're expecting even more upside from that. This pair took a little bit of a downward slide on Friday, and we're coming down at a really steep angle onto the 50 on the RSI. So we're just below it at 49.8. I was not expecting that. I was expecting it to come back up. We have a commercials increased short ratio of 3.47 to 1. Sorry, that's long for the Japanese yen, short for the pair. So there we go. Right, this is the USD index. We've seen a little bit of a pullback in the rise of the dollar last week. Bit of what was seen as bad news, but I didn't see it quite that bad. But the market read it as bad news. We've seen a little bit more bullishness come through for the commercials on this. Don't have a chart for it, so we'll just continue with the New Zealand dollar. We're yeah, we've lost a lot of the extreme on this, but it is still sort of continuing down. Had a little bit of a pullback last week. That was more weakness on the dollar than strength on the New Zealand dollar. As we get some more strength on the dollar, I believe this is going to follow through short. So we'll see where that goes next week. Energies, crude oil. We don't really have an extreme on this. It's about middle ground, but I was really expecting the oil to sell off. We saw with the announcement by the Saudis that they were going to cut oil production, which they'll never do in a month of Sundays, and the recent hike in price, I expect to see it start falling off over the coming week. So we'll go on now to metals. Silver. We've still got a fairly bearish position on this. I know recently we've seen a hike in the price of the silver. It's up to about 1730, 1740. I'm expecting this to follow on through short. So I'm looking for a turn down. I've got my trend line on the RSI, and we'll see where that goes. Now, on the Dow Jones and the Russell 2000, we've got quite a big turn down on the open interest and volumes. So that's quite interesting. S&P 500, we've increased the short position. So it's well, I've been saying it for weeks, it's overbought, but we'll see where that goes. It just keeps going up, and there's no sense to it, but it has been going up very steeply, and it looks to me like it might well crash before Christmas. But you know, sorry, Dow Jones. Dow Jones. We have a fairly extreme bearish position by the commercials, and like I say, we've got a fairly big turn down in the volume and open interest on that. And the Russell 2000, we've still got this. We had a massive fall from bullish to completely disinterested on the commercials last week. No, 1, 2, 3, about 4 weeks ago. So we'll see where that goes. Nothing really else. So anyway, that's it for this week. Okay, thank you all for watching, and hopefully see you on Monday for the daily video. Cheers, bye now.